before a congressional committee, the directors, such as Mr. Corzine, were unable to tell what happened. They don't know. They just don't know what happened. Like that, it went down. One person thinks it went down because there's no float right now. Banks somewhat survive on the float, which means charging interest, the money that we have in overnight in our checking account. They rent that out and make money on it. And right now, interest rates are so low that they're not making much on the float. But these things are so complicated, no one really knows. Simple banking, old-fashioned banking, is clear and understood. Now, in England, just in the last few days, the Parliament in the United Kingdom decided they had to invent their own Glass-Steagall Act to separate what they call the high street banks, which are the kind of banks you and I would keep our money in, from the investment banks. So they're kind of beating the punch to try to fix that problem. I'm suggesting, along with all the rest of us, that in Ashland, we fix it ourselves by just not dealing with the big investment banks. It's not safe anymore. And I also want to point out that it's so much, big banks are like a siphon. And Walmart is like a siphon. The money goes out and never comes back. It isn't reinvested locally. And I think we want to deal in a way from now on where all the money stays in town, as much as we can stays in town. It's going to need for our survival. Thank you.
Thank you. And our last speaker giving public input is Liza Maltzberger.
I'm Liza Maltzberger. Bank of America is one of the top 3 funders of mountaintop removal. This is the process of literally cutting off the tops of mountains so that energy corporations can mine the most polluting fossil fuel that exists. This practice changes the topography of mountain ranges, creates erosion, compromises water supplies, and destroys communities. I don't want my money to support this practice, and I don't want to say that Ashland does. I'm really excited that we have the national and local awareness that it will take for us to reclaim our own taxes for use in our own town. I want to be in solidarity with other mountain towns across the country that are less fortunate than our town. I want to be in solidarity with others who understand that keeping money local is keeping power local. I can't wait to be able to say that my town is at the vanguard of ethical community banking. I joined a credit union on October 7th, and it feels good to know that I'm supporting my community that way. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. So now we have the question, will the council conduct an annual review and accept the current City of Ashland investment policy? Does anyone want to make a motion? David?
I move to approve the City of Ashland investment policy and ask the staff to place on the calendar a review of the criteria before the RFP goes out.
Sorry. David? Anybody? Great.
I just want to say that I support having local preference scores with the RFP. I think that's reasonable, especially in light of the fact that our city recorders made clear that there's some technological advances that can make some of the local banks competitive in that regard. And she's doing, I think, a great job in making sure that the city's taxpayers' money is being well invested and protected. I don't have any issue at all in local investments, but 2 things I wanted to address that I hope listeners in the audience beyond here consider, and that is, I don't think you make a choice between ethics and profit. I don't believe that at all. And so that doesn't go into my thinking about investing locally. I think good businesses, good business practices combines both ethics and profit. It's not a bad thing to make a profit. Secondly, this idea that credit unions will loan just small businesses just is not true. I know very, very well a commercial banker, and I've talked to them on many occasions about this issue. They're not willing either. And it has to do with regulations that were put in place about a year and a half ago. They're not loaning to anybody, and that's a regulations put on credit unions and banks. So if you think this is going to loosen that up, I don't want anybody to go forward with that belief, because it's simply untrue. Until the regulations change, no lender is going to be lending out any money, and he's made that very clear to me, and I have no reason not to believe him. So I do support the added local investment ideas, but probably for some different reasons than some of the folks have said tonight.
Carol, did you want to speak?
Yes, I'll support this motion because given our economic development strategy, we clearly state that we want to assist local existing and emerging businesses and stabilize and grow our businesses. And I think if we have a local bank, what we're doing is offering that opportunity to our local business community. And we also say it in our strategies for economic development that we want to increase investment capital for local businesses. And we do know that the credit unions will in future be able to make loans, and they will be doing this. And I think that we need to support this particular motion in the sense that we will have a criteria that will keep our banking local. That we might add that criteria given this motion.
Anyone else? Roll call vote, please.
Morris?
Yes.
Limhouse?
Yes.
Boyson?
Yes.
Silverberg?
Yes.
Chapman?
Yes.
Motion passes. I just want to say before we do this item to those of you, thanks for coming out and talking to us. I think there's a lot of shared values and concerns, both on the positive and the negative side, between the council and those of you who spoke tonight. What Bank of America did with those, pardon me?
Go ahead.
What Bank of America did with those derivatives was utterly astonishing. With respect to the city of Ashland taking a leadership role in establishing that collateralization of the credit unions, I've been talking to various members of the city staff, and at this point, we don't understand how that bill number 3700 actually achieves setting up the collateralization. So I'm going to be talking to a couple of the staff members and see if we can talk to maybe somebody in the treasurer's office and at least understand that, so we can continue the dialogue with you. And we can have dialogue. It doesn't all have to take place at a city council meeting. Sometimes it's more productive to talk at, in groups or with representatives or whatever. So anyway, thank you very much. Thanks for staying so late. Carol?
Yes, I'd like to thank Oregon Action and Occupy for their very gracious approach to this issue. I think you've been